Hello everyone and welcome back to our course. In this lecture, we're going to learn how we can select data structures from a web page using Beautiful Soup. So for that, I'm going to make a new code cell and I'm going to show you how we can select various data structures, starting with the title. So I'm going to print out here soup.title. Then I'll run this cell and look at this. We get returned a title tag with site title / title. So here, when we call soup.title, we're referring to that title tag. Now, as well, we can then get soup.title.name to actually get the name of the title instead of the tag itself. So I'll run this code now, and we get here title. That's the name of the tag. All right. Next, what if we wanted to grab the parent name? Well, for that, we can grab printing soup.title.parent.name. Now, what do you think this is going to return? Well, we can look at our HTML here. We have our title, and the parent tag of that title tag is the head tag because that's what contains the title tag. So if I run this cell, I expect to get head, and there it is. I get that tag. All right, next up, let's get another tag. For example, let's get a heading 1. So for that, I can grab my soup.h1, and I can print out that. So let me print soup.h1. That will return to me that heading 1 tag. I can also get the class from that heading 1. For that, I'll print out soup.heading1, and then I am going to open up square brackets, and I'm going to get here the class. And if I run this, then I get title returned. That's because we're getting the class of that heading 1. Let's get a class of something else. Let's get the class of our paragraph. So for that, I'm going to print out soup.p at class, and that gives me description. So this returns the first paragraph it finds and the class of that paragraph. Because every tag has a bunch of properties, and each property has the key, which is the name of the property, such as class, and the value returned is going to be the value of the class, which in this case is description. So it's just like accessing an item from a dictionary. We grab that dictionary, the tag, and then we call a key from it. In this case, the key is class, and we return the value of that class, which is description. Next, let's get all of the anchor tags. So for that, I am going to have to select multiple items at once. I am going to print here soup.a. Soup.a only returns for me the first anchor tag. So how do I get all of the anchor tags instead? Because whenever you call one of the tags, it's just going to return for you the first instance. But luckily for us, there's a function find all. So we can call print soup.findAll to return all instances of a class. Just make sure that you pass in here the tag. Yeah, all instances of a tag, I meant. So you can find all of a certain tag. Just make sure the tag is as a string. You could also specify further and only get, for example, anchor tags that have a certain class. You can do that as well. So you can get as specific as you want. But let's start with just getting all of the anchor tags. If I run this cell now, look at that. Now, instead of returning for me just the first anchor tag, instead I get returned this array. And the array contains all 3 anchor tags. Awesome. Okay. Next up, we can also find elements by their ID. So for that, instead of using here paragraph at the certain value of class, this is just going to return me the value of the class, right? But how do I actually find an element by its ID instead? Because we haven't done that before. We found an element by its tag, and we've gotten the value of an element's properties. But how do we find an element by an ID or by a class? Well, for that, I am going to call soup.find, so we can use this find function. And we pass in the property we want to use to find the element. In my case, I'm going to use ID. And let's say I want to find the course with the ID Wall Street Coder. Well, I can paste that as the ID that I'm looking for. And then if I run this code cell, look at that. It returns for me that exact anchor tag. And those are some basic queries that you can do with Beautiful Soup. Awesome. Coming up, we're going to learn even more queries and scraping functions that we can use with Python and Beautiful Soup. So join me in the next lecture where we will continue our project.